Hey, what's up guys, this is Spore here. So, I've been a competitive Splatoon 2 player for about 3 years now, and in that time, I've grown to hate playing against some of the things in this game, I'll be honest. A few of the things that I particularly dislike playing against include Bamboozler, Toxic Mist, and Burst Rush, all for entirely different reasons, and yet I still hate playing against them all the same. Thank God there isn't a weapon in this game that happens to be all three of those things, right? Right? Oh wait. Bamboozler MkII! It's been in the game for over 3 years, and yet, compared to most of the weapons in this game, it remains vastly underexplored. So, I think it's finally time to give the Bamboozler MkII the look it deserves, because hidden under that stylish blue sticker on the barrel might be the best charger in Splatoon 2 right now. Bamboozler is quite a unique weapon, and the combination of unique properties this weapon possesses is the reason why it is so strong. For starters, Bamboo has the unique property of having consistent shot range, regardless of how long a shot has been charged for. With every other charger, the longer you charge the shot for, the more damage it deals and the further your shot goes. This isn't the case of Bamboo though. Every shot travels the same distance, although the charge time does still affect the damage the shot deals. By default, Bamboo deals 30 damage minimum, and a fully charged shot deals 85 damage. Both these damage values are very useful for Bamboozler, since it lets it combo easily with chip damage from the rest of his team, as well as easily letting it finish weakened opponents. However, Bamboozler is also able to combo off of itself thanks to its uniquely fast charge time. It only takes 20 frames or 1/3 of a second, since Splatoon runs at 60 FPS, to fully charge a shot, and only a few more to get another tap shot out. This combo is Bamboo's bread and butter. Smack him with a fully charged shot and then follow up with a quick tap for the kill. Or even do it the other way around, it doesn't really matter, it's a kill confirm either way. It isn't an easy combo to pull off, but when mastered it becomes a powerful and essential tool in the Bamboo's arsenal. It is worth noting though that pulling off this combo is made easier by the fact that Bamboozler's shot radius is twice that of other chargers, which means it is much easier to land a shot onto the opponent. Let's get back to that 20 frame charge time for a second though. It's way faster than other chargers. The next fastest charge time belongs to Squiffer, and that takes 3/4 of a second to charge a shot. Bamboozler's fast charge time lets it output a lot of shots in a short amount of time, and Bamboozler shots are no slouch in the damage department either, as we just mentioned. This gives the Bamboo main weapon the distinct ability to output extremely high damage per second over a fairly wide area. Bamboo also paints fairly well as a result of the fast fire rate. While each shot only paints a narrow strip in front of the player, these lines quickly stack over time to provide decent turfing capabilities. These tools ensure that the Bamboo player is often quite safe and won't die that often over the course of a game, which enables them to be more of a constant presence on the map. This is further buffed by Bamboozler's weight class. Bamboozler is the only lightweight charger, which gives it more run and swim speed than most other weapons in the game. While this is primarily to make up for Bamboozler's inability to hold a charge, being the only unscoped charger to not have this ability, there are some benefits to being able to zoom around a little bit more quickly. Having more movement speed regardless of whether you're a kid or a squid lets the Bamboo player more easily keep up with his team and contribute to fights, which other chargers can struggle with at times due to their longer charge time and slower movement speed. This higher movement capacity lets the Bamboozler maintain a much more active presence in the game, and considering a large part of Bamboozler's role in a team composition is to provide consistent picks from a distance, as well as to actively lock down areas of the map, that activity is pretty important. It is worth noting though that Bamboozler shares one weakness with all other chargers, that it requires a direct line of sight to the opponent over some distance in order to pick them up. This means that it can be difficult for the Bamboo player to help in fights that are occurring behind walls and obstacles out of its sight. If only there was a way to help with that issue though. Bamboozler MkII can hit things over obstacles better than every other charger in the game. Most other chargers have some way to deal with players that are hiding behind obstacles. For example, Custom GooTuber has Inkjet to take down targets from above, and New Squiffer has Autobomb to force opponents out of cover. Bamboozler MkII, on the other hand, has a unique method of dealing with this issue. It's special, Burst Bomb Launcher. While the special is typically associated with Soda Slosher, it actually first launched alongside Bamboozler MkII, and over 3 years since the weapon was added, the ability to hurl water balloons at the opponent remains a vital asset. Burst Bomb Launcher is a highly versatile special that enables the user to quickly spread chip damage and paint across an area, or to quickly overwhelm an opponent and score some important picks for the team. However, happens to combo quite nicely with the Bamboo main weapon in a few ways as well. For example, each burst bomb thrown by the launcher is identical to a regular burst bomb, which means that the burst bomb will deal 25 damage on an indirect from further away, 35 damage if it's an indirect but hits close to the opponent, and 60 damage if the burst bomb smacks the opponent in the face. This means that hitting a max charge bamboo shot on a burst bomb is a guaranteed kill, which can be more reliable than spamming burst bombs at an opponent at range, especially with most players running at least one sub of bomb defense, which can make burst bombs anywhere from a 2-hit kill to a 5-hit kill when you spam at them. Being able to kill with a consistent number of bursts is incredibly useful. By holding R when throwing a bomb with the launcher, the burst bomb can be thrown quite far, further than the reach of the main weapon actually. This gives the Bamboozler player a way to deal with opponents that outrange it, particularly other chargers and Rapid Blaster, which are two weapons that typically really mess up charger weapons. That's not all though. The game increases the range of sub-weapons by increasing their initial throw velocity, so what that means is when you throw the bomb, it initially gets thrown faster than it normally would. However, the game slows the projectile down at the same rate. Thus, the further the sub is thrown, the faster it travels for more time. And since holding R when using Burst Bomb Launcher increases the velocity of the Burst Bomb, as we just said, it becomes harder for opponents to avoid the projectile, which means that holding R can be used for pinpoint Burst Bomb throws at longer range. Considering 2 direct Burst Bomb hits will kill unless the opponent is stacking absurd amounts of bomb defense, which normally doesn't happen, this is often a very easy way to secure kills at longer range. Burst Bomb Launcher also gives Bamboo a quick escape option as well. It can use Burst Rush to quickly throw Burst Bombs at his feet and escape, which helps to circumvent Bamboo's lackluster paint around the user's feet. By far the most important aspect of Burst Bomb Launcher though, is that each Burst Bomb is thrown at a consistent arc. This lets the Burst Bombs be consistently thrown over cover and obstacles that would normally ensure the opponent's safety from the Bamboo's regular shots. Players that have been weakened by a Burst Bomb or other form of damage can also be tracked using the map, letting you more easily pinpoint their exact location and aim your burst bombs more directly as well. It's kind of like if you play Explosher and you chip an opponent and you open the map to see where they are so that you can aim your next shot at them. Oh, did I mention that you get all of this utility out of the special that only costs 160 points? Seriously, whenever you need the special, or whenever you want it, chances are you will have it, thanks to a combination of solid paint output and the ridiculously cheap special. For reference, Splashdown on GooTuber is 160p as well. It's so dumb, dude. Sometimes it can be a bit too fast. Sometimes you'll be holding Burst Rush for a little while before a use for it arises. Burst Rush also doesn't slow down the game particularly effectively. It is disruptive while it's active, but it's not active for long. It's best used in, as the name suggests, bursts. Thankfully, Bamboo Mod 2 happens to have a tool that's great at slowing things down a tad. Thanks to Inkling Civilization being able to condense Twitter discussions into a physical substance, the game has a sub-weapon entirely dedicated to slowing things down. Toxic Mist is a fairly simple sub. You toss it down, and anything in the nearby vicinity will have their movement slowed down and their ink sapped away from them. Despite the mist lingering for some time though, on its own, it doesn't seem too useful. After all, why slow things down when you can just bring them to a complete stop? Well, slowing things down makes them much easier to stop at least, and that's where Bamboo's other assets come into play. One of the most annoying things about Bamboo can be landing that tap shot after smacking someone with a fully charged beam of ink. It's very easy for the weakened player to just hide behind cover and refill the ink tank as if nothing ever happened. Toxic Mist, however, solves that problem by slowing the weakened player substantially, giving you more opportunities to tickle them with that final shot. Because Toxic Mist does take up a sizable amount of the ink tank, approximately 60%, so it might be best to set up the mist beforehand and force the opponent to back up through the mist. In general, Bamboo excels at playing around the mist it lays down, since it often causes players to get stuck in any ink laid down within the mist, thus making a one-shot kill more likely. Toxic Mist also combos fantastically with bombs, since it suddenly reduces the chance of escaping lethal bombs, in particular spat bombs, as well as shots from other weapons. This also includes burst bombs though, which Bamboo Mod 2 manages to pack in spades, because it has 160p burst rush for some reason. Crucially though, Toxic Mist also limits how far opponents can jump, which means Bamboo can completely snuff out Rainmaker pushes on some maps by preventing the Rainmaker from jumping across obstacles to progress. For example, here's one on Sturgeon. And on Makomar. Toxic Mist's ability to slow down opponents makes it a useful anti-approach option as well, since Bamboo can struggle with being rushed down from flanks and off angles. If an opponent gets caught in the mist, the Bamboo can simply back up and reposition itself in a safer position. It might even be able to take out whoever it manages to get trapped in its mist. Oh, and another really nice thing about Toxic Mist is that whenever an opponent is stuck in the mist, it makes a fairly loud sound effect. And Toxic Mist's area of effect is not obstructed by walls, floors, or ceilings. This lets the Bamboo player use Toxic Mist to check if any players are hiding behind cover or sharking somewhere, enabling the Bamboo player to gain information on opponents behind cover much more easily compared to other chargers. This matters more than it seems at first glance. One unique weakness of the charger weapon class is the inability to set up a consistent interaction loop compared to other weapons. Most weapons, particularly shooters and brushes, are able to easily set up an interaction loop. By quickly moving around the map, they quickly gain information on the opponent, especially enemy locations, which enables them to make more impactful decisions on the game much more easily. However, chargers aren't able to move around as much compared to other weapons thanks to their requirement to charge up a shot beforehand, and their requirement to have a consistent line of sight on the opponent. Most chargers only need a second or two to charge a shot, but in a game where fights can end in under 1 or 2 seconds, there often isn't time to sit still and charge a shot. Bamboozler's speed enables it to be closer to the action, which results in the Bamboo player naturally moving around the map much more. This results in the Bamboo player being able to absorb more concrete information about the current game state, and consequently, they can make more decisions on what they know for certain rather than relying on intuition. Furthermore, longer range chargers lack effective tools to gain information. Either the tools they have require opponents to get close to them, so for example, ink binds on E-liter or beacons on the custom E-liter kit. The tools they have require them to close in on the opponent, in the case of Firefin. The tools they have are rather expensive, V-Charger with Splat Bomb, which takes up 70% of the ink tank, or they straight up just don't have any, looking at UK Charger. As a result, these tools are situational at best, and at worst, they straight up do not exist. Bamboozler MkII has both a sub and a special that can help the Bamboo player gain additional information that they would not know if they only had their eyes available to them, which supports Bamboo's requirement to be further forward compared to other chargers. Plus, these tools are relatively cheap too. The Burst Rush is cheaper than a copy of iToy Play at my local CEX store, and Toxic Mist isn't too heavy on the ink tank either. This lets the Bamboo MkII player consistently gain information on its opponents. However, just as you gain info on your opponents gain information about you, and this is another area where Bamboo stands out compared to most other chargers. As I said earlier, chargers require some distance between themselves and the opponent in order to charge a shot, so chargers are often confined to the same positions over the course of the game. These positions are usually determined by the game state, but they are most often determined by the positioning of opponents and the positioning of the charger's own teammates. As a result, the positioning of a charger player can become predictable, and when this is spotted by the opponent, it can be played around, it can be exploited, and it can cause the charger player to suddenly have much less of an impact on the game. However, as I mentioned earlier, Bamboozler repositions more frequently compared to other chargers, which results in it being a tad more difficult to keep track of over the course of the game, since it won't always be in the same place twice. Bamboozler's shorter range also enables it to take some wacky angles as well, ensuring that it will keep its foes second guessing its next move. Hiding information from the opponent reduces their ability to make correct and important decisions, since they will be forced to act on guesses and pure intuition rather than concrete information that they know. Speaking of concrete, the recommended abilities for Bamboozler are very much set in stone at this point, so let's go over that now. Bamboozler benefits from a variety of perks. Since Bamboozler lacks the ability to hold a charge, it will often be walking around the map in human form when shooting. Run speed up enables Bamboozler to chase down fleeing players more quickly and strafe around more quickly, as well as letting it move across uninkable surfaces much more quickly. This lets Bamboo deal with targets on uninkable surfaces, which essentially force the Bamboo player to use the 1-2 combo of a full charge and tap shot. Swim speed up is always a nice perk to have, since it lets Bamboo catch up to its teammates more quickly, as well as enabling it to reposition faster. However, Bamboozler is already lightweight, so it's not always necessary. Utility subs such as bomb defense and ink resistance help Bamboo deal with shooters that rely on MPU for consistent kills, such as custom dually squelchers. Bamboo tends to fight more than other chargers due to its more aggressive positioning and its inability to one-shot an opponent at full health. Quick super jump is a useful perk as well. Since Bamboo can be chased into corners, super jumping back to spawn can be your only escape method at times. I see a lot of Bamboo players fail to run any quick super jump, and it often causes them to die in situations where a sub of USJ would have saved them, and their deaths often had a major impact on the tide of the game as well. Small amounts of ink saver main will give Bamboo an extra shot or two, which can prove useful in some situations. In particular, but 2 subs lets Bamboo shoot 13 times, which is enough for practically every situation you'll find yourself in. However, you might find yourself not being able to shred off ink armor for whatever reason, and if you happen to be getting tired of it, consider Object Shredder. What Object Shredder does is, while it doesn't really help the main weapon that much, since the main weapon is always guaranteed to one-shot ink armor regardless of how charged it is, it really benefits Burst Bomb's ability to destroy armor, since armor has 30 HP, and Burst Bombs can deal 25 damage if they are far away from the opponent. However, with Shredder, this buffs the damage against armor so much that one Burst Bomb is able to always remove an opponent's ink armor regardless of how far away it is, provided it hits them, of course. However, there are 2 perks that rise way above the rest. The first is Last Ditch Effort. While it doesn't activate until the objective counter reaches 50, or until the last 30 seconds of a match, Last Ditch Effort provides high amounts of ink recovery up, ink saver main, and ink saver sub. The exact benefits of Last Ditch Effort depend on how close the counter is to 30, but at maximum effectiveness, it's equivalent to running 8 subs of ink saver main, ink saver sub, and ink recovery up simultaneously in a single main ability slot. With Last Ditch Effort fully active, Bamboo Mark II players gain the option to throw out 2 toxic mists at once, which can act as a massive aerial denial in tandem with bombs from teammates and shots from the main weapon. This can prove absolutely ridiculous in map mode combinations where the counter almost always goes below 50, such as pretty much every Rainmaker and Zones game. Last Ditch Effort also increases the ability of fully charged shots that Bamboo can fire from 11 to 16, and reduces the time to fully refill ink by 2/3 of a second. This enables Bamboo to be overall much more effective on the field, since it will spend substantially less time needing to check up and refill its ink tank. The other strong perk, and this is probably the one that you've all been waiting for, is main power up. To say this perk is the best perk for Bamboozler MkII is frankly an understatement. Most Bamboo players will have you believe this is a requirement for the weapon, and there's good reason for that. Main power up increases the damage of every Bamboozler shot, regardless of how much a shot has been charged. This doesn't affect tap shots too much, though it does let tap shots combo more easily with other weapons. However, it becomes much more noticeable with the maximum damage a shot can deal. In Splatoon 2, damage will always cap at a certain amount, so the number of shots a weapon needs to kill does not decrease. For example, the L3 Nozzle Nose is a 4-shot kill weapon, so its shots cap out damage-wise at 33.3 damage per bullet. If L3's shots dealt any more damage each, it would become a 3-shot kill weapon, assuming the Inkling is at maximum health being 100 HP. However, in implementing these damage caps, Nintendo seemed to forget that Inklings take damage the instant they set foot in enemy ink, and even slightly grazing enemy ink can reduce an Inkling's health by an unnoticeable amount. Bamboozler's maximum damage output, though, is capped at 99.9, which lets it do this.
You'll never see it coming.
Yeah, it's insane. The worst part of it is, Bamboozler gains this ability consistently once the user wears enough MPU to deal about 99.6 damage with a full charge. You don't even need to run 99.9 damage. If you want to run 99.6, you want 3 mains and 4 subs of main power up, which is a very significant gear investment, but it does leave you enough wiggle room for utility subs as well. 3 mains and 5 subs, or 2 mains and 8 subs, they're both the same in this case, get you all the way to 99.9 damage. This ability to one-shot kill opponents simply because they grazed your aim for a few frames is quite busted, to the point where the majority of kills MPU Bamboo gets are one-shots solely due to the perk. However, I believe you should learn to play Bamboozler without MPU first, as running MPU will almost entirely remove the ability to learn the full charge tap shot combo, which is still required for opponents that are at max HP. And believe me, there is nothing less satisfying than having an MPU Bamboo set and you're using it and you fully charge a guy and he lives and they manage to get away. So unsatisfying. Main power up also increases the damage of partial shots as well, which for some reason lets Bamboo partial shots 3-hit kill instead of 4-hit kill. Yeah, I don't know why Nintendo let that slip through the radar either, but at least it means that Bamboo Mark II doesn't need to charge for as long if it wants to combo a partial charge with a burst bomb. You know, it's all about the gains. The last things I want to mention quickly are some little tidbits that I couldn't quite fit into other sections of this video. Like most other weapons in this game, the Bamboozler is held in the Inkling's right hand, so it has the ability to right side peek. This means that you can hide your body behind the wall and only have your right hand peek out of the wall in order to hit opponents. Most other main weapons do also have this ability. However, Burst Bomb Launcher is unique in that it shoots bombs from the Inkling's left side, which means that you have the ability to left side peek with Burst Rush. This can be particularly useful if you want to hit another player that is using their right side peek advantage to try and score a free kill on you. Now, Charger players often talk about how free heavy spatling players are to kill typically. However, Bamboo struggles with this a tad more since it actually has slightly less range than a heavy spatling, which really doesn't help considering that in Splatoon 2's matchmaking algorithm, they both have a matchmaking range of 210. This means that they're more likely to face against each other in solo queue lobbies. The last little bit of information I want to leave with you is related to X power. According to Senador Inc.'s analytics, the highest XP achieved by a Western player with Bamboozler MkII is 2,646.2 points. Do you think you can beat that XP? Let me know in the comments below. So, to wrap things up here, while it may not have the meta-defining missiles in its arsenal like the Bamboo MkI, the Bamboozler MkII can pack some of the most unique traits and tools in the game into a single green stick-shaped package. And while it may take some time to master, I believe that this green stick has the power to stick with it at the uppermost echelons that this game has to offer. Psst, real quick before we go, I recorded most of this footage live on my Twitch channel, which you should totally check out. I do random streams on there. I stream Splatoon, sometimes I stream other games as well. You should totally give it a follow if you are interested in that sort of thing. Also, I left some notable Bamboo MkII players in the description. I'm a massive fan of Bayleaf. His gameplay is absolutely incredible to watch, and you might be able to get some more advanced pointers as well from watching their content. The last thing I want to do before I finish off this video, I want to shout out the people that helped me make this. So thank you to Stealth for helping me with some stuff in PBs, in particular the Raymaker not being able to jump on Sturgeon and Makamat. Thank you to Snipes for proofreading the script for me and adding in a couple of extra little tidbits that I would not have known otherwise. And last but not least, shoutouts to Raze for editing this all together and having to listen to me fuck up the script a million times. So, until next time, lads. And if you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe!